Good morning or good day. My name is Gaudreau. I'm from Fitchburg, Mass. And before I talk about my two uncles, I'd like to give grateful thanks to Pat Reed and Paula Ferrario for their generous time and abundance of goodwill. So I appreciate your time. Thank you. Today I'd like to tell you a story about my two uncles who perished in World War II. They are Rodney and Walter Dinneen. I'll begin with Rodney. Rodney's nickname was Buster. Rodney was born at home on March 16th, 1918. He was the third born of 14 children to Walter and Annette Dinneen. He spent his childhood in the Patch, an Irish shanty town in the Water Street area of Fitchburg. My mother, Rodney's sister, remembered him as being full of mischief. She also related to me that they would hunt coal along the nearby railroad tracks to be used for heating their small home. Rodney graduated from St. Bernard's Grammar School, so I know that he at least got eight years of education, quite an accomplishment in the early 30s. It seems that he had an outgoing personality and was well-liked and had a lot of friends. In the late 30s, he found employment at Independent Lock Company in Fitchburg. I'm sure some of the money he earned went to supplement his large family during the last days of the Great Depression. He was inducted into the Army June 16, 1942. At the time, he was living on Pearl Street, where his family had moved in the late 1930s. It must have been difficult for my grandparents to say goodbye, as they already had one son in uniform. Leaving must have been difficult for Buster also, as this would be his first time away from home, and he had recently become engaged to the love of his life. I'm not sure where he took his basic training. All of his military records were destroyed when the National Archives in St. Louis burned. His initial training may have been at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, or if he was already selected to be in the Army Air Corps, it may have been at Camp Landing, Florida. In November 1942, he was assigned to the 345th Bomb Group, the Air Apaches, at Columbia Army Airfield, South Carolina. After communication and aerial gunner training, he was assigned to the 500th Bomb Squadron, the Rough Raiders, a part of the 345th Bomb Group. The group flew the B-25 Mitchell. This aircraft was one of that the Doolittle Raiders flew on their mission over mainland Japan. You may remember if you've seen the movie 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. In April 1943, the group left the States for the Pacific Theater. Their first home was Brisbane, Australia. In June 1943, they moved to Port Moresby, New Guinea. Shortly after their arrival, they started flying combat missions, dropping 1,000-pound bombs on the Japanese Navy. The gunners stayed busy on these flights, shooting down many Japanese Zeros. It was thought that the B-25 would be better suited as a strafing platform. It would be able to stay under the flak and arrive with little notice. Many of its future missions were conducted at treetop level. The retrofit was to increase the number of 50 caliber machine guns to 14, installing 4 in the nose and 2 in the tail. The reconfiguration was done at the major supply depot in Townsville, Australia. In August 1943, Buster's aircraft was due for upgrade. On August 7th, 1943, he and the crew of 2 or 3 other B-25s were going to go to Brisbane. The C-47 they were aboard, which was called the Eager Beaver, lost both engines on takeoff and crashed into the ocean. He and 26 other aviators lost their lives. In his last letter home, he said, "I guess we expect you to live the same way as always, with the exception of a few hardships when we are gone. If I were you folks, I wouldn't worry, because we don't worry about ourselves. If we don't come back, remember that we go into this with our eyes wide open, and we know exactly what we're doing." His remains were buried in Brisbane in a hastily made but rapidly expanding cemetery. In January 1949, his body was reinterred in the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific, which is called the Punch Bowl. He lies in eternal grace, Section B, Site 155, surrounded by 61,000 of his brothers and sisters. Things that trouble me. Rodney died on August 7th. His family wasn't notified until August 23rd, which was a Monday. Was my grandmother alone that day? Just another day doing motherly things, washing clothes, peeling potatoes, thinking about her son? And then came the knock on the door by the Western Union messenger, delivering a telegram with the words so many families dread. "We regret to inform you." What was lost? A son, a brother, a fiancé, a friend, an uncle. I think the worst loss is what Uncle Rod didn't get to experience. Never walking his daughter, the most beautiful girl in the world, down the aisle. Never hearing his son, the next center fielder for the Boston Red Sox, saying, "Hey Dad, do you want to have a catch?" Things that ease my mind. I think that my grandparents used the insurance money to buy a small farm in Ashby, Massachusetts. My dad built our house on the farm property. This move entirely shaped my life. As a child, I remember my grandmother raising canaries by the hundreds, or so it seemed. She loved the colors and the songs. She used to give me a few nickels to gather seeds from the weeds and to feed the birds. I recently was able to visit Hawaii and thank Buster for his service and guidance. The Punch Bowl is beautiful, built in the center of an extinct volcano, overlooking Honolulu and Diamond Head. It has a massive granite staircase leading to monuments and wall displays. It was a very emotional visit. A few years ago, I had a completely serendipitous meeting with a lady from Fitchburg. As it turned out, she was the daughter-in-law of Rodney's pre-war fiancé. She presented me with a locket that was inscribed with Buster's and his future bride's names. It's the only tangible evidence of Uncle Rod's life. And now as a family heirloom, I was overjoyed to hear that she married and raised her family of 3 sons right here in Fitchburg. Rodney and his brother Walter are honored along with 116 other Fitchburg heroes whose remains are buried overseas at Fitchburg's annual Memorial Day White Cross ceremony.